Hey, what's going on, guys? This is David here from Mac Tutorials 14. This is Jailbreak Weekly, episode number 3. I have my co-host on the line, Andy Hoff from Ultimate iDevice Vids. What's going on, Andy?
Not a whole lot. Had the SATs today. It's been rough, but I'm alive.
And we also have Jarek Davis joining us. What's up, Jarek?
I don't know. Everything is broken.
Yeah, no thanks to you.
Yeah, you were the one who broke it.
Yeah, he for everybody who's completely confused, which is everybody, Jarek broke the Messages app for all of us. So,
well, not just
Unicode
that,
stuff,
but
yeah.
Not just that, but that was one of the main things that was broken for us. But for him, I mean, I'll let him talk about it later in the show if he wants to. But there are things that he broke, quote unquote. So,
he breaks stuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we have a lot to talk about, don't we?
We do, yeah. We got some lot of new jailbreak news. Very exciting stuff. We got obviously the upcoming Apple event. So yeah, it's an exciting time.
Jarek, what about you?
I mean, what Andy said?
Okay, so I guess we should go ahead and jump right into it. So anyone want to start?
I guess I'll start. Yeah, so I guess the first thing we're going to talk about, because we're a jailbreak podcast, is the latest jailbreak news. So Cammy from iDigitalTimes, she's a very active participant in the jailbreak community. She's often in communication with hackers, jailbreak developers, and she's been publishing a few articles lately, or she has published a few articles, and it's been crazy the past few weeks because we've heard news from both the TaiG jailbreak team and the Pangu jailbreak team. So the first news that came out was Cammy's interview with the TaiG team, and she's had this interview for a while, as far as I can tell, and she just recently published it. And what we could gather as far as the future is concerned with TaiG is they're definitely working on future jailbreaks, and they intend to do that. They intend to release future jailbreaks, but they're setting their sights on iOS 9 as opposed to jailbreaking 8.4 or 8.3. And as a lot of you guys I'm sure know, that's generally the most practical route in terms of exploit preservation. So I guess we could first kind of just talk about that particular article, then we'll dive into some of the others. So, David, what do you think about the TaiG team's decision?
I think it's definitely a good decision to make because if you look at, 8.4 is going to be like the last, I mean, obviously, okay, we might have like 8.4.1 and like those minor 0.1, releases added on to the, the more major stuff like 8.4, 8.3. So we might see some of that, but for the most part, 8.4 is going to be the last, version of iOS 8. So it makes sense for TaiG to start looking at, the future, looking towards iOS 9 to see what exploits they have, if it's going to be usable, if it's not going to be usable, and kind of see where you can go from there. But I definitely do think that they made a really good decision by holding off and waiting until iOS 9 to really do anything, because at this point, I mean, back when at the Mobile Security Summit, a lot of people thought, when they were hosting that, a lot of people thought that they had a jailbreak and they were coming out with it, and it was, I'm pretty sure that was back when 8.2 was the latest firmware.
Right.
So
yes.
It's been a long time now, and obviously that didn't materialize. But yeah, so I definitely think that TaiG made a really good decision by doing this, because having two teams working side by side round the clock trying to come up with something, and if two teams release something at the exact same time, one might hold one off and wait and see if their exploits are still relevant.
Yeah, well,
in regards to that, David, that's actually happened before with the Shatter and Lime Rain release. GeoHot pushed and released before Shatter, and then Shatter was no longer relevant, and we lost a piece of good tech. Yeah. So I mean, that's something that happens frequently.
Yeah.
Right. And it's I think TaiG, as far as I can tell, they're a little bit more business oriented.
Right.
Than,
So the thing you
Pangu.
gotta keep in mind with TaiG is they are a company.
Yes.
And people are always like, oh, well, do they intend to release a jailbreak? Well, of course they intend to release a jailbreak. That is the entirety of their job description.
And I think what they're trying to do now is they're trying to kind of, I guess, change and I mean, when TaiG originally came on with the 8.1 jailbreak, I think it was, or maybe it was 8.1. I don't remember exactly what it was, but when they came out with the jailbreak that was the only jailbreak at the time for that firmware, it kind of switched our viewpoints a little bit on TaiG, because if you remember, I'm not going to go into the whole story, but basically it was last year with Evasion 7 when the evaders were approached by the TaiG team, and basically, in so many words, they were offered, the team was offered, the evaders were offered $1 million, in exchange for bundling the TaiG, whatever app the TaiG app was called, whatever it was called. But they were offered that amount of money, and when it kind of we're looking, and this is kind of hard as well because we're looking at this from the outside in, and that's something also that you have to remember, because we're not them, so we don't know specifically what went on and what happened. But from what I could see, again, looking from the outside in, is what happened is they really wanted, they were like, obviously, if someone came up to me, I was in a company and someone came up to me and said, hey, we're going to offer $1 million, we're going to offer you guys $1 million if you bundle, if you just bundle our app into your jail. Obviously they're going to try to implement that in some way or another, because $1 million is a big deal.
Yeah, and it's, that kind of relates back to, what Jarek said. They're a company, it's, before they had involvement in creating jailbreak utilities, they've been involved in kind of the business scene with Evasion 7.
Right.
So with that being said, the fact that I think there's some, I would assume that there's money to be made. They want to hit bigger, like bigger releases, for example, as opposed to 8.4 iOS 9. Yeah.
They want to preserve exploits as much as possible, because the more they preserve, the more money they can make off of them.
Exactly.
And also they want to be in the spotlight too, because anytime anytime a team releases a jailbreak for a major firmware like 8 or 7 or any of the major firmware releases, like the whole number releases, then you're getting to you're being put more in the limelight, as like Pangu was the team that came up with the iOS 8 jailbreak first, so obviously they were the team that got put in the limelight for that. But if it was TaiG, things might have changed and been a little bit different, and TaiG got still put in the limelight a little bit because they developed the 8.1.1 jailbreak, I think that was, or whatever jailbreak it was, 8.1, whatever it was. But so they still got put in the limelight, but I feel like you're much more, the community talks about you a lot more, and you get a lot more publicity if you are the ones to jailbreak the first major iOS 9 or iOS 8 or 7 or any of that kind of thing.
Yeah. But, the thing is, this kind of segues into our next topic, or our next article by Cammy. If you're, want a jailbreak for 8.4 or 8.3, don't lose hope, because there's another article. And this is another article, or another report from Cammy, and I believe this originated on Weebio, a Chinese social network, and
it's kind of like Twitter, right?
It's like Chinese Twitter.
Yeah, but basically on June 5th, this completely slipped my mind. I talked about this in the past in videos and whatnot, but it slipped my mind. They held a security summit, the Pangu team. I think a few other people were involved as well. And at this event in China, they demoed an 8.3 jailbreak.
And it's funny because I was just going to say, it's funny because we had talked about this when it got announced, and I completely forgot about it too, because it was all over, when Pangu had announced that they were doing this, it was all over too, because we were like, okay, well, we didn't see anything from TaiG at the Mobile Security Summit. Maybe with Pangu, when they're hosting this, maybe we'll see something from them. But I think it kind of got put out of everyone's mind for some reason. So I mean, I just when I did see this, I kind of was like, oh yeah, I completely forgot that they were doing this. So
right. And so they just showed it. They displayed the jailbreak. They showed that it's working. And there were, right after the news kind of hit, Google Translate was doing a bad job.
Google Translate was doing the one job that it had wrong. The one job that it was supposed to do, it did wrong.
And basically,
keep in mind though, like all translation is very difficult. Like I speak a little bit of German, but I can't really like if I'm translating something from German into English, it's not quite the same.
All right. Well, we should probably explain like what's being mistranslated. All right. Anyways, so basically, what was mistranslated was the fact that in the beginning there were reports saying that the jailbreak was going to be released, or that it had an ETA of June 9th, which is the day after WWDC. Therefore, the day that presumably 8.4 is going to be public. But that was purely speculation. It was a Japanese blog that was covering this, and they, the Japanese blog basically speculated that release date. Yeah, and it was just a mix-up. So basically, we don't have an ETA.
The English text made it out to be, when they translated it, it made it out to be like, oh, it's confirmed. Like Pangu, as soon as 8.4 releases, if 8.4 releases June 8th, boom, June 9th, we're going to drop a jailbreak. That's basically, in my head, what it sounded like.
That's never how it is, though. There's often some testing that needs to go on, especially with a larger-ish jump. And again, it's completely, that's not true. That was just the blogger speculation. Any thoughts on this, Jarek? Are you excited for the future of 8.3 jailbreak and 8.4?
I think smart people will wait till 9.
I agree with you.
There are some stubborn people who may release for 8.4. I don't know. There's a lot of speculation, as tends to happen in this community.
And, with Pangu, they've kind of been known, for their previous release in around this time last year. They're kind of known for releasing things at strange times.
Yeah.
Last year they released the iOS 7.1 jailbreak, and it was expected that there was not going to be a jailbreak until iOS 8, but they pushed to 7.1 jailbreak, and it sounds like they may do the same thing. Obviously, they could easily wait until iOS 9, see where their exploits are at, but based on the past, I wouldn't be surprised if we saw an 8.3 or 8.4 jailbreak soon.
Yes, we never know.
Yeah, and going back to
really knows.
I was just going to say, going back to TaiG with the whole business aspect, looking back on this now, it makes a lot more sense because, it just makes more sense that TaiG would be the ones to wait because they're kind of looking at this more from a business making money aspect than it seems like Pangu presumably is. And if that's going on, then it seems like Pangu is just kind of there for the community and is going to be like, well, we have this, it's working, and we tested it, blah, 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 and I guess now is as good a time as any to release it, and then they release it, and then TaiG is kind of holding off their stuff until iOS 9 so that they can make more money. I mean, from a business perspective, to me, that makes a little bit more sense.
Yes, it does, and it's more practical. It's kind of like what the Evaders did, in the past and previous jailbreak teams.
How the American jailbreak scene, or Western jailbreak scene, kind of settled into the pattern of major releases. But if we go back to not so far history, there was jailbreaks for not full number that just were released. I mean, it was the same tools over and over, like Green Poison and Red Snow, which jailbroke countless amounts of firmware.
Yeah, I mean, that's slightly different because a lot of it was boot ROM based.
Yes,
but
but I mean, I'm going to say this. I make this spiel all the time when I talk to people. Don't count out another boot ROM exploit. It's possible.
I've been waiting since, as far as I could remember.
Yeah.
But, I'm not going to give up.
Well, I mean, it's one of those things where somebody very well could happen upon one tomorrow. Somebody very well could have already happened upon one and they're holding it back for some reason.
I hate Snow.
That's iBoot, totally different.
Yeah, I know, but I'm saying in terms of holding things back.
Yeah.
We'll not get into that, though.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, all right. So next, well, first of all, do you guys have any final thoughts regarding the latest jailbreak news? Nothing?
No.
I don't really. I mean, like, I just, in a realistic world, I would love for my, and I guess we'll, talk about this later on in the show, but I would love for iOS 8.3 to be jailbroken, obviously, because I am running iOS 8.3 on my daily driver right now on my iPhone 5. Reason being is because, unfortunately, as I mentioned last week, I did have to upgrade my iPhone to 8.3 because my Apple Watch came, and I have it. It's on my wrist. I'm looking at it right now. It's awesome. I'll talk about it later, though. I don't want to get into that now because we have some other things to talk about. But yeah.
It's fair that you'd want to jailbreak now because it's you want what you want now, and
it's just basic human functionality.
And I miss all the Spring Tamize and Activator, and I miss all being able to do all the things I could do with my jailbroken device. I miss that a lot. And obviously I'm not gonna have to wait too long, but and the stability is definitely worth it as well. I've noticed that.
I wouldn't say that you won't have to wait too long. I'd knock on wood if I were you, because you'll jinx yourself.
I've wood, right? Yeah. No, actually, the desk that I'm using right now to record is wood, so I just knocked on it.
Good.
Okay. All right, so we should probably move on. Yeah. All right, so next up, iOS, or not iOS, I should just say WWDC. This is, of course, Apple's upcoming... WWDC. Yeah. Okay.
Worldwide Developer Conference.
Yes, so it is coming up.
It's the precursor to JailbreakCon.
On June 8th, yes, and I'm super excited. I'm excited for iOS 9. We've talked about this in previous episodes. I think it was last week.
Yeah, it was last week.
But I'm super pumped. I always am for the latest iOS.
Right.
And today we like to talk about not iOS, but OS X, of course, the Mac operating system. And I actually don't use a Mac on a daily basis, so I'm going to hand this over to David and Jarek. So, David, what are your thoughts on the upcoming OS X?
Well, I really would like to see, I would like to see, I think, honestly, like, Yosemite was just, like, so different from Mavericks from what we saw the year before, and it was such, like, an overhaul. The dock looks completely different, and, they kind of gave it a different feel than, they had done in a while. So I feel like it's kind of one of those iOS 7 type things where, after iOS 7 came out and iOS 8 came out, nothing new. I'm not going to say nothing new, but like, the way it looked appearance-wise, nothing was new. Feature-wise, yeah, they had some new features. They had new third-party keyboards and developer APIs or whatever it was. But my point is that there wasn't anything design-wise that was new from iOS 8 to iOS 7, or from iOS 7 to iOS 8. But yeah, so I definitely would like to see some stability improvements.
And Jarek, like, what are your hopes for this new release? Do you have any issues? Do you have stability hopes?
There's been rumors of a control center, kind of in addition to the existing notification center, which I really want because
that'd be pretty cool. Yeah,
it's cool. Instead of having to open up the preferences app and edit everything,
it's barbaric.
As well as I'd just like to see, optimizing APIs, really speeding stuff up.
What I really would like to see, and I don't know if this is necessarily possible for the next version of Mac OS X, when this version in WWDC, and I don't know if it's, like I said, I don't know if it's possible for this version. I don't know if it's ever going to be possible. I mean, it's possible, but I don't know if I would see Apple actually doing this. But I think Siri integration with with Mac OS, with Mac OS 10.11 or whatever. I don't know if that's like a thing at all, but I think that'd be pretty cool to have like Siri in Mac.
Okay. Yeah, well, I don't use a Mac. Yes, that's true. And I don't use a Mac on a daily basis. I have a Mac Mini that I occasionally play with from time to time, but I use a Windows laptop because it's a laptop. I do plan to buy a Mac laptop eventually, but I have this Mac Mini. Obviously, it's not portable, so there's no real use for it. It doesn't appeal to me. But I've played with Mac OS, and the new design is great. This is slightly off topic, but it kind of relates to OS X, so I thought I'd mention it. Basically, in iOS 9, I was kind of hoping for some of the elements from Yosemite to come over to the phone and the iPad, because yes, Yosemite is very similar to iOS 7, how it's kind of flat and everything, but there's still elements to it that are slightly kind of a little bit more skeuomorphic and real looking, and I'd like to see some of that being ported over to iOS. But in terms of features on actual Mac, back to the normal topic here. Siri integration would be cool, and definitely the control center. That sounds very cool. But again, I don't use it, but those are just some thoughts.
What I would like to see, and this isn't directly, and this is kind of a little bit off topic because it isn't directly with Mac OS. I mean, it is, but at the same time, I don't really think they could. This isn't something that's on Apple's end. This is something that's on developers' ends. But there's so many I really just wish that there was one central app store for I wish the Mac App Store was actually a thing, and you wouldn't have to go on Steam or any of these third-party app stores, and you'd actually just be able to access all of the games that Steam has, let's say GTA 5, for example, even though that's only a PC thing for now. But let's say that was available on Mac, so you'd be able to get it from the Mac App Store instead of going on Steam and downloading that and wasting your time by downloading, a third-party app store. That's kind of on developers' ends, like I said, but being able to
not
do
so much on the
something like
developers' end. It's just currently the Mac App Store is really not great. It's not good, and a lot of these third-party app stores are better. Even sometimes just downloading an app off of a website is better than the Mac App Store can be. So they really have to improve that before developers are gonna stick their heads out and start committing to it.
Right.
I guess that's true.
Yeah, Go ahead, David.
I was just gonna say that isn't there a reason why they have the App Store natively on Mac? The reason why I'm saying this is because in my head I just don't understand the reasoning behind this that Apple would have. Why would they add an App Store to Mac if developers, if they're not going to make it good enough where developers are actually going to be using? Literally the only time I've ever opened up the App Store was to download from my computer. I think it was back when iMovie was, and all the iLife suite and everything. That was, when I had to download Pages and all that for school. Then I was on the Mac App Store, and then that was what, 2.5 years ago already. So that was the last time I used it. And then this today was the first time I've used it in 2.5 years, because I actually got and I guess I could talk about this eventually as well, but I got a review copy of Tweetbot 2.0, which is actually really nice. The awesome guys at Tapbot actually got me. I was actually able to snag a review copy, so it's pretty good from what I can tell for right now. I've only been using it, since 11 o'clock in the morning, so it's been about 13 hours, give or take. So yeah, I don't know, but that's pretty much all I have to say on that.
Yeah, it's I do hear you, dude. It does seem kind of silly to have an app store that is barely used, but it's kind of different with iOS, because iOS is obviously very restricted.
Right.
And the only real way, other than jailbreaking, and there's a couple other loopholes out there, but basically the only way to really get your apps on your software onto the iPhone is through the App Store. With a computer it's a little different, so some things are going to be downloaded from the internet. But it is true. I think that they could, work a little bit on kind of bringing more popular applications to the Mac App Store to draw people to it. I definitely see that.
And I think another thing too is WWDC, it's Worldwide Developers Conference. It has developer in the name. So I think a good, way to bring developers into this, like they did with iOS 8, is, announce some of these new things. We've redesigned the App Store, the Mac App Store, from the ground up, so developers take advantage of this And, we've looked at, some of our other competitors, third parties like Steam and all those other guys, and we've looked at their stores and tried to see, what we could do to further improve the Mac App Store. And we've looked at it and given it a nice, nice new coat of, fresh new paint or whatever. We, changed up the design a little bit, added some stuff, and, we made it so developers can go in and optimize their apps to, be able to fit in the Mac App Store.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I can see that, definitely. So, are there any last thoughts on that? I think we talked too much about that. So, Jarek wants the control center. David wants some new app store. Bringing more developers in. I don't use a Mac, and I think that just about wraps it up. Anything else, guys?
I don't have anything else.
Okay. All right. So this is something I wanted to talk about too. Because WWDC is coming up, as I said, on June 8th, and that's the day after tomorrow. This is being recorded on Saturday or early Sunday. Basically, we're going to be doing a special show after WWDC concludes. As far as I can tell, it's going to be Jarek and I, because David and Justin are kind of tied up with some school stuff, as far as I can tell. But we're definitely. I just wanted to let you guys know. Be expecting that. We're going to cover the whole event, iOS 9, and the next version of OS X. So just wanted to give everybody a quick heads up about that. So you're still not coming, David?
Well, I don't know for sure, but I intend on. I'm trying to. It's really hard because, of course, right? It's the last. It's pretty much the last week. That everything matters, because Wednesday starts off finals, and of course Monday, just my luck, I have a Spanish final. So it's kind of like random because like finals start Wednesday, so technically we shouldn't have the Spanish final until at least Wednesday, but
software releases happen at horrible times. They always do.
They always do.
Oh no, I know. Apple, for some reason, Apple just hates me, and they want to spite me by putting their events on Mondays.
Jony Ive just really, really hates you, David.
Yeah.
Same thing with Jailbreak teams. Jailbreaks are always released at horrible times. I'm sure it's going to be like
Jailbreak teams just hate everybody.
Yeah,
that's the key there.
It's probably going to be like the week that I'm in the music festival.
Let's just drop a Jailbreak at 4 o'clock in the morning, and
on a Wednesday in like October. Yeah.
Mid-October,
okay, all right.
Wednesday, mid-October.
So, David, you want to talk about your Apple Watch? Because since last week's show, you finally got your watch, and I know you're eager to talk about it.
Yeah.
David got his, and I broke mine.
Yeah. So, I got mine Monday. Yeah, I got mine Monday, and I was basically, the story is, and I gotta tell a story because I gotta tell what happened. But basically, I was like, I could not. Monday, I went into school. I was just like, okay, I'm gonna try my best to focus. Like, the watch is coming. I gotta like do work, but I still need like I just like I couldn't do it. I was like breaking down. I kept checking the UPS app because I downloaded the UPS app on my iPhone, and I entered the tracking number in, and I was just constantly refreshing, waiting until it said, waiting for it until it went from, in delivery to delivered or whatever. So basically, I found out that it doesn't actually come, and I don't know if this is like a standard, but I was talking to Andy off the show. I think it was like sometime last week. He was saying that basically, like, it said that it comes after, like, I think like before 3 o'clock for residential deliveries, and obviously since I live at home and I live in a house that's residential, so yeah, so it came, and basically what happened was as soon as at 2:30, because I got out at 2:30, I got out of school at 2:30. As soon as the bell rang, I like bolted to my bus, and I just hopped on my bus, and I was just like I was so excited to get home, and I ran home. And my mom knows me pretty well, and she knows like the way I react to things. And she was like, right off the start, like when I was running home, she was like, "I have a feeling you're running home. Just wanted to let you know that UPS just came by and dropped off the Apple Watch, so it's sitting there waiting for you. I was like, sweet. So I bolted home, I ran home, and I opened the front door, and I was like, where is it? And my mom was like, here it is. And she gave it to me, and I was like super excited. And yeah, so it came in like a cardboard box, and I went upstairs, and I set up my iPad, and I set up my mom, because I asked I asked my mom if I could use her iPhone to be able to Periscope, because I needed the the iPhone's. I don't know why I'm like screwing up with my words, but I do it all the time. Yeah, I needed my iPhone in the video to be able to pair it, so like I couldn't use my iPhone to Periscope because like that's not possible. So basically, I hopped on and started unboxing it live for everyone, and everyone was super mad at me because they were like, "I can't see the Apple Watch. What are you doing? What are you doing? Like, what's going on?" And everyone was super mad at me. I was like, "Guys, trust me. You guys are gonna like." I understand you guys can't see right now, but it's because I didn't want my my mom's iPhone 6 to be in the background of the video that I was recording. So I was like really having trouble figuring out what to do with it. Like at one point I placed it all the way to the corner, and like no one was able to see anything, but they were just able to hear me talk. But then I was like, all right, people are going to get mad at me, so I might as well actually show them, you know, the actual unboxing. So I did, and I actually, if you watch the video, I guess we'll throw a link in the description. But if you watch the video, my unboxing video, I do actually reference my mom's phone, because I mean, it's like blatantly sitting there, and I had a feeling people were just going to ask me in the comments, like, why is there a random girly iPhone just like randomly sitting there that's got a pink and white case on? Like, what is that doing in the video? So yeah, so to sum up, that's basically what happened, and I got the 38mm Apple Watch Sport, and I got with the Space Gray with the black Sport band. I'm wearing it right now. Watch. What?
We all got the same watch.
Yeah. No, but I just like saying that. But I'm wearing it right now, and I absolutely love this thing. I absolutely love it. I just like, there are certain things like dictation that we won't get into, but there are certain things that I just can't stand. And I'm gonna, like, if you guys go back a couple of episodes, I'm gonna be called the Jeff of Jailbreak Weekly. Like, I am a huge flip-flopper right now. I am on Andy's side for the most part for right now.
Yeah, I really want a keyboard, because dictation literally gets every word wrong. It's horrendous.
Ridiculous.
It is horrendous.
Just get more robot-friendly voices.
Yeah.
That's your problem.
No.
Not Apple's.
Especially, too, when, for example, I brought it to school with me on Friday, and I tried, you know, using dictation at school. It was just impossible. Especially at lunch, it didn't hear a word of what I was saying because it was way too loud. If you're at a crowded place and it's too loud, and you're not it's not able to pick it, like, it won't pick up anything you're saying at all. It like gave me a message basically just saying, sorry, but Apple Watch can't pick up dictation right now. I was just like, oh, well, what are you good for? Like,
I know. I mean, the entire point of the watch, or, you know, for me, when I use it for most, is checking messages, and it would be really nice if I could adequately reply. So
right.
The fact that that's not possible, or if it's so difficult, just give us a keyboard. It doesn't matter if it's small. Just, you know, as long as it has good autocorrect, things should be okay.
Did anyone else see Andy's tweet? You know I'm a firework.
Yeah, you know it.
He said on Twitter. And he tagged all of us.
You broke David.
What?
I broke David. Oh, okay.
Yeah, you broke David.
Yeah, I shot you with a firework. That's what
No, this is turning into like a bad no.
Any last Apple Watch thoughts, David?
Like I said, I really like it, and I kind of am waiting on Jailbreak, Jared, to actually be able to do some of the things that I would like to do. Like,
I'd love to give you one, but I don't currently have a watch. So
yeah.
Problems.
Yeah, I know. No, but there are certain things like custom complications that I would love to see on the Apple Watch. It kind of makes me upset that Apple restricted the amount of complications that you can have on the watch. And it's only like specific things like weather and stocks and the moon phases. Like, it's cool, but like that has nothing
why
to do
would
with
you need
anything.
to know that?
Yeah. It's cool, but I don't care that it's like a waxing crescent or whatever it's called. My point is that like it doesn't need to be an actual thing on the watch. I would much rather
rather want
see
full custom watch faces. Like, I don't want to be stuck to Apple's, because their watch faces aren't great. They're meh. And I like color, so they're really meh in that aspect.
Right.
They're very black and white, or Mickey.
And also, the sense that there's no background wallpaper for the home screen, I mean, that's ridiculous. I mean,
yes.
Why?
It's very iPhone first gen-ish.
Yeah, and that's something you have to remember too. Is for some reason I just feel like Apple is trying to do everything they did with the original iPhone
which
iPhone
I mean is a good
OS.
plan because it worked for the iPhone, but I feel like it may
definitely.
get them in trouble a little bit going through it again with the Apple Watch.
Yeah, like taking a step back.
It'll break you faster.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I mean they clearly have. I mean, as far as I could tell, there's nothing technologically speaking, stopping them from putting background wallpaper. I mean, it's just such a basic feature.
Well, I mean, and it could wear down the battery faster, but that's
just
how it
an
works
image
on phones too.
Yeah.
Like if you've got a bright background image, it's gonna wear down your battery faster than a dark one. It's just science. You can't change that, Apple. Let us wear down our batteries.
Yeah. I was going to say two other things I was going to say as well. The first thing is I don't know what's going – okay, maybe it might be my watch. You guys can let me know if this is happening to you. But, like, for example, okay, ready? I'm going to do it right now. So I hit the side button, and Andy, tell me if you get this. Ready?
Okay.
Are you getting my taps right now?
Not yet, but I will. In a second, maybe.
See, this is, and then like I'll back out, and then it'll tell me all of a sudden
yeah, I got it.
Okay, sometimes it'll tell me all of a sudden your digital touch messages failed to send. Like, what is that? That was specifically like you have an Apple Watch, so why is it not picking up the fact that you do, and why is it failing to send those messages?
Well, I mean, it definitely takes a minute to send. I think you have to back out or. No, I actually never mind. You don't have to back out. You just have to wait a few seconds. But I don't know. I mean, it is 1.0.1 software, right. So I mean, there are bugs. So you just kind of have to tolerate those. And I'm sure they'll be fixed as time goes on. But who knows?
Or they'll be turned into features.
Yes. Yeah. There's weird stuff that could happen. I'm sure everyone would love
that hour
it.
Counting thing was originally a bug that they just marketed as a feature.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I mean, like, who needs that? Seriously.
Yeah.
Jony Ive does. Shut up, Andy.
Well, yeah. I mean, I don't think anybody would want a failed message feature, but who knows? There are people out there.
Jony Ive wants it. Okay.
Okay. All right. I'll
Jony Ive.
Another thing I really like, and I'm just gonna, I've been going back and forth, but I guess I should talk about the positives and negatives. One of the things I really like is being able to activate the screen via wrist raise. So just raising it up to, or raising my wrist up to my head, or not head but face. I'm able to just turn the display on, and I just did it right now, and it's really cool. And then also just being able to put my hand over it for a couple of seconds, and it turns off the display. I think that's awesome as well, being able to do stuff like that. It's kind of convenient, and it's just like I like that. And then one of the negatives, and this is a big negative I have too, and this is obviously, like I said, and like we were talking about, this is 1.01, so definitely a lot of these things could be added down the road. But one of the things I don't understand is why does the screen just randomly turn off? Why is that like a thing? Why can't they have timed intervals like on the watch, like on the phone or on iOS, where it'll say auto lock, and it'll say 1 minute, 2 minute, 3 minute, 5 minute, 10 minute, or it'll just say never. So obviously never is going to drain the battery a little bit, because if you keep your screen on for whatever. If you keep my point is, if you keep the screen on for a long period of time, it's going to run the battery down a lot faster than obviously if it automatically locks it. But even being able to just automatically, lock it, not after just 2 seconds of not having my finger on the screen, but maybe, a minute of not having my finger on the screen, just like the iPhone or iOS, and then it'll automatically turn off. And also another thing too is it's not even a fluid, off thing. It's like it goes straight from it's on and then all of a sudden pitch black. Like it's not even like it doesn't fade out like the one on iPhone or iOS does. That's probably one of my main complaints right now.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, like when you raise your wrist to look at the watch, like do you know how it just comes up like as opposed to fading?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I can see why they did that because, generally when you're looking at your watch, you want to see the time, like, boom, immediately. So I don't know, maybe you don't have to wait for
when
fade.
It's turning off, it's a different...
Yeah, turning off is different, exactly. That could fade.
Yeah.
So one last thing we like to talk about, and this is Apple Music. This is Apple's supposed upcoming music service. And, in iOS 8.4, we saw the new music application, the redesigned app. And, this service is supposedly going to kind of go hand in hand with this redesign. And, there's rumored to be a free trial. And, we're not really sure what role it's going to play on iTunes Radio, but it's, it's an upcoming service. And, I'm super excited. So maybe I wanted to ask you guys what you currently have in terms of your music streaming service, if you do one. And also, are you planning to use this new service? Let's start with you, David.
Okay, so I know, and everyone's probably going to bash me for this, I know Spotify is a big one, and definitely, because I know a lot of people, you can get, definitely on Mac, I know this is really popular, you can get a version of Spotify where basically you don't have to pay any money, and you can search for any songs and stream any songs straight from, the Spotify application on Mac. So, if I was good with that, if I was good with music streaming services, I probably would use Spotify, but I don't. I actually if I use streaming services, I use iTunes Radio. But
Me too.
For the most part, though, I just listen to all my music, my music library. For the most part, I don't use music streaming services.
Yeah, that's the same with me. I mean, actually, come to think of it, I do use iTunes Radio very frequently. But in terms of other services, I don't use any of those. But yeah, I mean, I'm on iTunes Radio pretty frequently, and of course, I also listen to my library, which is definitely the most common, way of listening to music. And then second up is iTunes Radio.
Right.
What about you, Jarek?
So I use Pandora One for streaming, because I like the way Pandora slips new music in amongst my old. For radio, there's just nothing in my opinion that really compares radio-wise yet. And then I use a lot of local music streaming or local music playing. I have a very large iTunes library, stupidly large iTunes library.
Cool. Yeah.
And I mean, I'll probably use the trial of whatever this is, especially if there's an Android app, which is rumored. I want to play with that as it's Apple's first Android app, which will be it's kind of weird. Barriers breaking, brains exploding, normal stuff.
So this is a 3-month trial, right?
Supposedly. And, I mean, with that being said, what are the rumors? What have the rumors been in terms of what we're expecting from this? I haven't really read up too much on this, but I know a few of you guys have, so or at least one of you.
So it'll be $10 per month after the trial, and it'd be unlimited like Spotify's and Pandora's, which Pandora's is cheaper, but you don't get the offline music service like Spotify does. There's been rumors that have bounced, but it's all pretty convoluted still. There's been rumors of the trial, and I mean, as for what is gonna make people actually want to use it, I don't know. Apple's got to have something up their sleeve.
Yeah, and
I mean, with iTunes Radio, there was nothing. I mean, other than being in the music app.
Yeah.
that really made anybody want to use it. And
that's the thing too, is that maybe they're gonna make it a standalone app and separate it from the music app. I think that definitely would be better because I had to show like back when iOS it was iOS 7, right, that came out with iTunes Radio. Back when iOS 7 came out, and iTunes Radio came out along with that. My mom, I had showed my mom because I thought it was really cool and I used it a lot. And I was like, I talked about it, and my mom was like, "How do you access iTunes Radio? I don't see it here, blah, blah, blah." So I had to go into the music app and show how to use it. And for people that are techies like us, and people that are listening to this, it's kind of a little bit more difficult to find where iTunes Radio is. It definitely would be a lot more easier to do so if it was a standalone app. That's just my opinion, though.
And also, with that being said, do you think that this? Well, I mean, it's definitely not going to replace iTunes Radio, because that'd be
actually. I don't know. I think it very well may.
I don't know. I mean, the reason I say definitely is because that would be very strange. Because I mean, think about it. They've gotten customers used to this free service, and are they really going to completely demolish it to make something paid? That just seems a little bit.
No, there's going to be a free tier.
Yeah.
Presumably. And it'll be the same thing as iTunes Radio. I think they're just going to pull iTunes Radio into it, kind of merge it in,
Right, yeah, I can see that.
Not really replace, just rebrand, per se, add new features.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much all I was going to ask. I was just going to say, what do you think?
It's more just a merge of iTunes Radio and Beats Music.
Right. Yes. Question though, and I don't know. I might be. I'm pretty sure I saw some rumors on this as well a couple of weeks back. Apple was looking to, maybe it wasn't Apple, but I think I'm pretty sure that I heard this, that some of these companies like Spotify, Pandora, some of these companies that are offering some of these types of services for free are kind of in a little bit of jeopardy because they're kind of getting like. I don't know if you guys have, I don't really, like, I've read up on it a little bit, but I don't really, if you guys could elaborate a little bit on what if you know what I'm talking about.
I know what you're talking about, and I understand what you're saying, and I disagree with what you're saying. They're very much not in jeopardy. They are serving enough ad content that they will be good for life.
So Apple isn't Apple's in trying to make, because I thought I heard something like Apple's trying to push them to
Well, they're trying to, of course. They're competitors. They're trying to push them out of business. That's what they do. Right. Whether or not it will happen or not is hearsay for now. Until we actually see the product, I'm not going to speculate on that.
Right. What do you think, Andy?
Yeah, I mean, it is true. I think before the product is released, it's just really hard to jump to these catastrophic, or not really catastrophic, these ridiculously, huge conclusions that other companies are going to be in trouble because again we don't even know the product yet.
We don't know the product, and we also people tend to when they see Pandora and Spotify, they think, oh, they're just these startup companies. But as somebody who's been to their headquarters, they are not just startup companies.
Right.
So it'll take a lot for Apple to push them out of the ring.
Right.
Yeah, and like you said, there may be an Android app, and if that's the case, then yes, it would be available to a wider range. But there's still people out there who may not be able to access this, and they may only be able to access Spotify or other things. So that's kind of a whole other that's a whole other issue. But again, we will see on June 8th. I'm super pumped for all of it. And,
question. I was just gonna say. Question as well, and then we'll wrap up. I was just going to say, do you think that this is the supposed Apple Music will be available just specifically for mobile, or will it also be desktop? So Mac
the leaks that I have seen as for what it supports is it will be on, it'll be with on Mac, Windows, iPhone, obviously iPad as well. So just iOS and Android.
BlackBerry?
No. Nobody likes BlackBerry. Not even BlackBerry likes BlackBerry.
Yeah, but okay, yeah. I mean that would make sense because I mean if they're gonna get in the game of competing with,
Yeah, I mean, if they're trying to compete seriously with Spotify and Pandora, they have no choice but to.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, and I would, that's yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, I think I just said it, so of course I agree with it.
Yes. Andy agrees with himself.
Yes.
I do. I agree with me.
Yeah.
All right, guys. So it's been fun. I mean, I'm super excited for the future jailbreaking, the Apple event, everything like that. And yeah, I mean, as I'm sure most of you have probably noticed, Justin's not here. Unfortunately, he's kind of tied up in some stuff, just like last week. But
why didn't we mention that at the beginning of the podcast? Yeah. We should probably edit that in.
Yeah, whatever.
It's okay.
It's just Justin.
People,
just Justin. Yeah.
Just kidding, Justin. We love you.
No, yeah.
Yes. People will notice, but yeah, I mean, he'll definitely be back next
week.
We'll be back next week, and the week after that is Jailbreak.
JailbreakCon, yeah.
Me, Andy, and Justin will be live from San Francisco.
And hopefully, I'm gonna be with you guys too, presumably as well.
If we can get him on Hangouts, of course.
Yeah. Yes. Well, I mean, I'll hop on because I'm gonna be like. I'm probably just gonna cancel. I'm gonna cancel everything I have. I'm just gonna be like, no, I have to sit down and do this.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, I think that pretty much wraps up Jailbreak Weekly episode number 3. Thank you guys so much for tuning in and for listening. And yes, that's pretty much it. So until next time, guys. This is the Jailbreak Weekly crew signing out.
See you guys later.
Bye.